Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, in this video, I'm going to be telling you about a case that we looked at briefly yesterday. And this is this poor girl, woman, went off to Greece to volunteer, a Christian, and was found deceased in a suitcase. And it's still not clear exactly how she ended up deceased in a suitcase. But what we do know is who did it, who is admitting to have done it. And we're going to look at him, the least person really you would expect. A champion, amateur champion boxer, married to an American citizen. He's Afghan. He's only in his 20s, 24, 26, something like that. Handsome. We'll have a look at photos of him in a moment. A Christian volunteer. Set up a homeless shelter with his wife, his American wife. You know, Mr. Perfect. You just never know, do you? You just never know. Wolves in sheep's clothing. They walk amongst us. Doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter where they come from. Doesn't matter if they're married. Doesn't matter if they've got children. Monsters walk amongst us. The devil is amongst us in our daily life. The devil is here, and the devil works through people. Evil is in people, and it's not always the people you expect. So that's what we're going to look at, some more details in this case. Now, you might notice I sound even more fed up than normal. So literally half an hour before starting this live, and I nearly wasn't going to do it, but don't like, letting people down. And then sometimes you think you can't stop life because what would I do? Just sit around and think about. Anyway, so sad news this morning again, sadly. So my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, my brother who passed, Tony, who passed a couple of years ago, his wife passed this morning. Just so sad again. Just like in the end, you think, God, there'd be more people on the other side that I know than on this side. She'd been very poorly. So at least she's in no more pain now. And she'd be reunited. Sorry, I'm not going to get upset, promise. She'd be reunited with my lovely brother, Tony. They were married forever. They got married very young, early 20s, maybe even younger, I'm not sure exactly. And they were one of those rare couples that stuck together, wasn't all plain sailing, like no marriages are, but lasted all their lives. And she was devastated when my brother died, but, she was a strong woman. She's a Leo. In fact, her birthday's coming up. Yeah, birthday would be on the 10th, I think, of this month. Very strong woman, career woman. She worked social services back in the day, but she's been retired quite a long time. Yeah, very strong woman, grandma, wife, mother. And I will talk about her more in the next members live. But that's 3 people that I've lost this year. My friend died in January, my sister, of course, not that long ago, and now my sister-in-law. I hope they're all having a party up there, bloody hell. I just hope they are. But anyway, yeah, so she had been ill for a little while. She was in a hospice, basically. She was fuming because she wanted to go back home. She was fiercely independent. She hated not being at home, but I think it probably would have floored her when she was told she would never be going back home. But, she lived in the house that they'd always lived in, big house. too big for her on her own, of course, but I think she would never have left that house. She had so many happy memories there. And it was worrying because she was an old lady in the end, at the end of the day, sort of probably in her early 80s, I think. Though I still can't believe she was that age, because she seemed so much younger. And we've seen with other cases that we've looked at, Nancy Guthrie, Anne Widdecombe, and that, you're not safe on your own in a big house with all the twonks there are around in this world. Anyway, so that's another one lost, sadly. So, yeah, literally just found out 30 minutes ago, just as I was sitting down. But it's funny, isn't it? Because even when you're expecting the news, because I knew, that she was ill and she was in end of life care, it's still a shock when you find out, isn't it? Even when you know somebody's ill. So God knows how it feels to people who, some of the cases like we talk about, like this case we're going to talk about today. My heart just goes out to her family and friends. I just want to say that straight away. I'm so sorry for your loss, especially the way that you lost her. Okay. I'm going to compose myself. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all the extra ways that you help my channel, buying Ko-fis, being a member, sending PayPals. I got PayPal this morning from Sean. Thank you, Sean. Buy merchandise or sending emails. I do try and get through my emails. Sometimes I'm a little bit slow in responding, or maybe a little bit abrupt in responding, but I do try and go through all of them and answer all of them if I think, they need an answer. Thank you for all your nice comments, nice messages, all your support. Thank you so much. So, hello, you lovely lurkers. Hope you're all well. Hope all your life. Listen, life is hard, isn't it? There's always something going on. Just you get one thing out of the way, something else happens. And sometimes these things, they come like bump, 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 don't they? That's how I felt this year. It's one thing after another. You just sort of trying to, get on the straight and narrow again and just try and recover from the last disaster. And so another disaster happens. I mean, where are we now? We're in August. Gotta be glad when this year's over, to be honest. But yeah, not been a good year so far, but there's still 4 months to go. It's my birthday month. Maybe it'll start getting better now. Hope so. Anyway, could always be worse. It could, because every morning when you get up and face the day, you're winning, really, aren't you? You just have to keep going, keep going. And if you're going through hell, keep going. So, hello to my lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. Hello to Replay Crew. Thank you for watching. And let's see who's in the chat. There's a couple of you chatting. Hey, David. Hope you're well. Hey, Lily. Well, thank you, Lily, for the 2 jewels. I'm going to dedicate those 2 jewels to my sister-in-law, Linda. Yeah. I mean, they'll be having a hell of a party up there, that's for sure. Just made me think, and I'll be going through the photos and stuff. They were of like my brother, my sister. There's quite a big age gap then to me and my other brother. But so my brother is passed, my sister is passed, and Linda is just passed. They, of course, they were all similar ages, and they were always partying, and they had their kids around the same time, So thing is, their kids, like my nieces and nephews, they always felt more like my brothers and sisters because there's not that much difference in age. Or not a significant difference in age with some of my nieces. Are my oldest niece is only 8 years younger than me, so I always felt more, I was not Like they were always, I was always babysitting. That's what I was always doing. I was babysitting while they were all going out. So they'll be having a big party up there, definitely. So, yeah. Anyway, I miss those raucous family days and never coming back. I mean, my family drove me mad. I'm sure yours does. Drove me mad in lots of ways. But you couldn't beat a Boxing Day party, a Riley Boxing Day party. It was like eventful, let's say, always eventful, always something going on. Big excuse for a party, occasionally a fight, but not every time. And those days have gone, haven't they? Those days have gone forever, and they've gone with their good things and their bad things. Well, look, I'm waffling on. I'm going to stop waffling now. Let's look at this case. So this poor girl, Elisabeth. Let's have a look at a photo of Elisabeth. Off she went to Greece. So she's a very, I think she's quite a religious person. That's the impression you get. Well, she went off to this Christian charity to help out. So let's see if I can find a photo of her. Off she went to Greece. Imagine that. You're saying goodbye to your loved one. And, they go off and you think, well, they're an adult. I think she's in her early 30s. Never think they're not going to come back, do you? Let's get a picture of her up. So this is Elisabeth. Scottish, from Scotland in the UK. Early 30s. So apparently a church pastor has paid tribute to a Scottish missionary found dead in a suitcase in Greece. So this poor woman was found in a suitcase in a really horrible, I'm going to show you the article in a moment, just like in a place where homeless people lived. There was all rubbish everywhere. She was found by a homeless person. So her pastor in Scotland said that Elisabeth Ross had been a precious member of the congregation at City on a Hill Church in Edinburgh. She's from Edinburgh, for 20 years. So she was 30. Oh, she was 38. She looks a lot younger than 38. Was found in an abandoned building in the Kypseli district of Athens on the 18th of July, several days after she was reported missing. So now we do have someone has been arrested, and you know what? This twonk, he has admitted to. I think he's saying he found her; she was already dead, and he put her in the suitcase so that he admits to stealing her credit cards and that, so that he could take money. So this is the story that he's currently coming up with. He didn't kill her. He found her dead, and you know what you do when you find someone dead. You put them in a suitcase and you steal their cards, don't you? Of course, that's what any normal person would do, wouldn't it? That's what he's saying that he did. So let's have a look at him. Sadly, we have to. Gosh, I've got it ready, but I've got it on my computer screen. Right, let's see. So it's been widely reported in the media, like the Daily Mail, the Sun, the details. Sorry, I've just got to find it. I should have had it ready, really. Now, they don't know yet, it was imminent, the cause of death. Apparently she didn't have many signs of violence and things like that, so there's an initial suspicion that she may have been suffocated, but I don't know. Now, I think we've got another victim here in this case. Oops. He's married. So he's married to an American woman. Very, very similar look, I would say. Hang on, let's see if we can see that. That's his wife, him and his wife. She's an American citizen. She looks a bit like Elizabeth, doesn't she? Or Elizabeth looks like her. Hi, Darren. And look at this guy. He looks, well, there he is in his bloody tuxedo and everything. I don't know if that was on his wedding day. I feel for his wife. So apparently his wife was a friend of Elizabeth. That's how he got to know Elizabeth. So he and his wife, his American wife, they set up a homeless mission in Greece. So it's quite often these horrible people hide in the church, don't they? It's quite scary, really, isn't it? They hide behind a facade of respectability. Peter Tobin, the serial killer, he did that. He would volunteer at church. That's how he ended up killing his last victim, Angelica Kluke, wasn't it? He met her at the church. He was the handyman at the church under a false name. And he befriended Angelina. And when he got her on her own one day, killed her in the church. In the church. Hid her under the floorboards in the church. And then he had to do a runner because things got to, and she was found. But, this is my question. Who can you trust? Who can you trust if you can't trust someone, from a Christian charity worker, and you can't trust them? This poor woman, and obviously Elizabeth, this poor woman, she's the main victim, but this woman's a victim too. This is his wife. We have to presume she didn't know anything about it. And she gave him a sort of veneer of respectability. Married man, young man, quite good looking, champion amateur boxer in Afghan boxer. So the last person you would expect. So his name, let me have a look. I'll move that. These things just do their own thing, don't they? What's his name? I probably need my glasses to look at this. So, of course, he's a thicko who thinks he's clever. He's one of them. 26 years old. Because he thought he'd sort of probably committed a perfect crime. But, of course, he hadn't. Where's his name? Yeah, they're not giving the name on that one. Hang on, I want the one that gives his name. I think his name is Sharif or something. So, yeah, the Afghan man who's arrested over the murder of a British woman in Athens is a champion boxer who ran a refugee charity in the Greek capital. For fuck's sake, he ran a refugee charity. Sharif Ahmadzai, that's his name, Sharif Ahmadzai, there's his picture again, is suspected of killing Elisabeth Jane Ross, 38, before stuffing her body in a suitcase and dumping it in an abandoned building. Let's see, I think you can see. There you go. There he is with his wife. Yeah. God, how is she feeling today? His wife is called Elena Hall. Here's him in his boxing stuff. A champion, amateur boxing champion. You know, why did he kill her? Well, you know what they're saying of the reasons for killing her is he got annoyed because she kept talking about Christianity all the time. And he irritated her. This is what is being said. I think, don't you think maybe there'll end up being an sex motive in this? We have to wait for the results of the forensic examinations. But would you really kill someone just because they were, she's at a fucking Christian refuge charity and she's talking about Christianity? Wouldn't you expect that? So apparently he arrived in Greece in 10 years ago. He was only 16 when he arrived in Greece, apparently. So he's accused of using the Scottish National's bank cards to withdraw thousands of euros. So this is what he's claiming. He found Elisabeth. She was already dead. He put her in a suitcase because he wanted to steal her cards. And he's withdrawn thousands of euros. So again, he's a thicko. Did he not think? Right. Let's just think about it. Now, so for any of you budding criminals out there, which hopefully there aren't any, but you never know, there might be somebody watching. I'll give you a little tip, though, not that I'm trying to let you help you to get away with crime. But if you're going to go and take money out on a debit card or a card, you're being filmed. There's a record of you taking out that money. It doesn't just appear by osmosis and nobody knows. I mean, how thick is he? It really annoys me. I don't know why, but it annoys me more when they're thick than when they're not, because you just think these twonks, these thickos, thick as that, took this beautiful woman's life and then went and took her money. Well, he's admitting to that. That's not even allegedly. He's saying he didn't kill her. But, yeah, found her dead. So, of course, what you do when you find a dead body, you stuff it into a suitcase, you steal the cards and go off and get what money you can, don't you? That's what any normal person would do. That's what he's saying he did. But then he's so thick. He doesn't know about CCTV at cash points. He was on CCTV transporting a body around Athens. Is he? I don't know why it irritates me even more when they're so thick and they're not even clever about it. You just think it's so pointless. I think that's why, because I just think this is a pointless crime because he was always going to get caught. So it's completely pointless. She's dead and now his life's over. His American wife, her life's over because she's got to live with the fact that she married a murderer. All these people's lives ruined. And he was always going to get caught anyway. So it's so pointless. It's the pointlessness of it, I think, that does me in. Anyway, CCTV allegedly showed him leaving the apartment where she was staying with the suitcase. It's like Davido, get all over again. David Knezovic in Madrid. He was another thicko. Went to his wife's apartment in Madrid and carried her out of there in a suitcase. He sprayed the CCTV, but he hadn't even done that properly. He couldn't even spray black over that properly because you could see he hadn't sprayed it properly. The police saw him clearly coming out of the lift with a suitcase in hand that he had Anna in. Oh, and he did so many things that were thick, didn't he? He was on CCTV buying the black spray paint with no cover on his face. He got involved with that girl in Colombia and got her to translate some texts, and her mother he used his real name. He was in touch with a girl in Colombia, and the girl told her mum she was in contact with this guy from bloody Serbia, And she looked up his name and saw that his wife was missing, feared dead. Anyway, so he got arrested when he returned to America, because he was an American resident, and then he killed himself in prison. So that was another pointless crime. So that was all over money. So poor Anna is dead. He just didn't want to give her half of their fortune that they'd amassed in the business that they ran together, and she wanted a divorce. He didn't want to give her 50%. So he went all the way from Serbia to Madrid, Spain, drove there in a hire car, murdered her, and we still don't know where Anna is, sadly. And when he finally took himself out of this world, he didn't even give her family the decency of letting them know where her body was. So another pointless crime. These pointless crimes are the worst, aren't they? I know that all crimes are bad, but do you understand what I'm saying? It's just so pointless. So as far as David Knežević and Anna is concerned, they're both dead. The fortune, I don't know who ended up with their millions. It's probably going through, he had siblings, she had siblings, neither of them had children. So it's probably going through a long, painful legal process to decide who does get the money in the end. But wait, whereas he could have just given her 50%. 50% of millions is still millions. Maybe for 10 million, he wanted 10 million. She maybe wanted 5 million of it. Why didn't he just settle for the 5 million? I'd settle for 5,000 at the moment, to be honest. Oh my God, people are so greedy as well, aren't they? Thick and greedy. Oh. So, yeah, he was seen leaving the apartment with a suitcase, and he was seen dumping it where her remains were found. So he was caught on CCTV all the way. Did he not realise that? I mean, is he that thick that he doesn't realise CCTV? He can't. Honestly. Anyway, he apparently arrived in Lesbos in 2016, 10 years ago. And then in 2023, only 3 years ago, but he was young. I mean, he's only 26 now, I think. He married American Elena Hall. She's probably got money. Sorry, Elena, maybe he did love you, I don't know, but probably not. He's probably in it for the money. So then the couple set up a ministry to help refugees in Athens. So it's so good, isn't it? So, such good intentions. A Christian mission to help refugees. Something tells me it wasn't his money that set up that mission. And that's how they're believed to have got to know Elisabeth, because she was like a Christian missionary as well. Let's just have a look at another picture of her here. Oh, why is that not? Let's see, can you see that? There she is, Elisabeth again. That's a nice picture of her. I think she looks like his wife. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. So we've got a bit of a timeline here. Let me see. So on June the 26th, God, where did that just disappear to? On June the 26th, Elisabeth arrived in Greece. I need my glasses again. So June the 26th, Elisabeth arrived in Greece at Athens International Airport. And then the next thing it's got on here is on July the 15th was her last contact with a friend. And then on the same day, she left that house where she was staying with friends, the 15th of July. Then on July the 18th, a suitcase with a body was found in, and it was her body, in Kypseli, Athens. And on July the 27th, that body was identified as Elisabeth Jane Ross after an Interpol probe. And then on July the 29th, the Greek police launched a murder probe. So they've done well, because we're now only on the 4th of August. So they got, they caught him pretty quickly, didn't they? So apparently what he's telling the police, his wife is telling the police that on the evening of July the 15th, he disappeared, Sharif disappeared. The other thing that's notable is, as a couple, they had a key to the flat that Elisabeth was staying in, because it was owned by their own organisation, which was called Love Every Nation, Athens. So apparently he disappeared. The evening of July the 15th, Sharif disappeared. And when she checked his shared location, so she checked on his phone to see where he was at Elisabeth's apartment. So I expect his wife thought he was having an affair with Elisabeth. I mean, maybe he was. Or maybe he went round to Elisabeth's to try to have a sex with her, and she got angry, and said no. Then he gave his wife €2,550 and also gave her a new iPhone, which she now believes was bought using the money from Elisabeth's bank accounts. Oh, he's so generous, isn't he, to his wife? Out of the money that he got out of Elisabeth's account, he bought his wife a new iPhone and gave her €2,550. Oh my God, how generous. Here's another photo of him. Doesn't look Afghan, actually, but obviously he is. There you go. Can you see it? That's another thing. He's quite a good-looking guy. Means absolutely nothing, doesn't it? In fact, you know what? These twonks, these monsters, they're normally quite good-looking, because otherwise she would never have let him in her apartment, would she, if he looked like a monster, a gibbering wreck, or, covered in tattoos and piercings. No, he looks like quite clean-cut, respectable. These twonks always do. Oh, God, it keeps going on to the next page. It's driving me crackers. Yeah. Smiley face, thinks he's God's gift to women, probably. Now, this is the place the suitcase was found. I mean, it's just horrible to think your loved one ends up, I don't know if you can see it, it's where homeless people were living, just full of rubbish, graffiti, just horrible place. I think he will have tried to force himself on her. I just got that feeling. He probably thinks he's God's gift to women and couldn't understand. She wasn't interested because she was a Christian and he's a married man. Maybe she just, believe it or not, didn't fancy her. You know what I mean? He obviously thinks he's more, better than he actually is. So he apparently claimed that Elisabeth was dead when he found her. And he only put her in a suitcase so he could steal her money without drawing suspicion. I mean, it's like Jackanory, isn't it? They expect people to believe that shit. So anyway, the medical reports so far suggest that she may have died from asphyxiation. But we don't know for certain. We're waiting for the official cause of death. And he used her phone to send messages to mislead her loved ones. It's just like David Ganezovich again. That's what he did with Anna, wasn't it? He sent messages to her best friend, to her family. But it turned out it was him who was sending them. And Elisabeth's dad, who's a lawyer in Edinburgh, he said he received texts for up to 2 weeks after her death, and messages sent to family and friends claimed that she needed to take some time for herself and she wanted to be alone for a while. And his website, oh, he's got a website. What's his website? I might have to have a look for that. So Ahmadazzi's website, this will be probably for the charity, won't it? I'm going to have a look in a minute. States that his father, who was a military commander in Kabul, was shot dead by the Taliban when he was 4, when Sharif was 4. That's what he says. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. So it sounds like his father was a bit of a hero, like in the Afghanistan army, because don't forget, you know, the Afghanistan or the Afghans, do they call, or Afghanis, or whatever. I'm sorry if I'm not using the right phrase. You know, the Taliban were sort of suppressing them, weren't they? And then we just left them to it again, didn't we? When we pulled out of Afghanistan, the Taliban took over again. So that was a completely pointless exercise, wasn't it? Anyway, then 5 years later, after his father was shot by the Taliban, he claims his older brother was kidnapped by the Taliban. And when he was 15, the rest of his family was wiped out in a suicide car bomb. That's what his website says. And after traveling to Greece in a small boat, you know, these small boats, Ahmadazzi went on to win the Greek super lightweight boxing title in March 2023. So it felt like he was turning his life around. You know, that's the whole point of refugees being helped, is to give them a chance, you know, to turn their life around, to become productive members of whichever society they're living in. And it seems like he was, until this. Makes you wonder if any of that he's saying about the Taliban is true. Was he just making it up? Is he a Walter Mitty type person? You know, making out that he's a hero, but he's not. Hey, Sean. Thank you for the PayPal, Sean. I got that this morning. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, yeah, you've missed the start of this video. So it's been a bit of an eventful morning, sadly. Anyway, I'll let you watch on catch up. I don't want to go back into my things again. So what do you think? Do you think this guy was telling the truth, all these things about the Taliban? Anyway, so Elisabeth arrived in the capital on June the 26th, and her aunt, Anne Bangham, described her as a beautiful, loving and kind young lady. And Greek authorities said her cause of death could be revealed in days. So we haven't had the official cause of death yet, just so that you know. But the initial thoughts were that it might have been asphyxiation. And they're doing tests on her blood, her urine and vital organ tissues. And the Foreign and Commonwealth Office said, our thoughts are with Elisabeth's family during this difficult time. We are providing consular support and are in contact with the local authorities. So I'm going to have a look for this website of this charity. Oh my God, you know, you've got to be careful. So Christian charity set up to help refugees. That's what's attracted Elisabeth there, because she was it's almost like a missionary, I suppose. So it's called Love Every Nation Athens. Let's have a look. Thing is, there's always people that want to volunteer for these charities. But, you know, God, she'll have gone there. She'll have gone there, Elisabeth. It's run by a husband and wife, young couple, American wife, Afghan husband. He's a refugee himself. He's overcome adversity. His family killed by the Taliban in Afghanistan. And he's become a boxing champion and a Christian charity worker. She would have been impressed, wouldn't she? And oh, it's closed now. It's closed. Love Every Nation religious organization closed. Love Every Nation Athens, though the website still. Welcome to Love Every Nation Athens. We are a couple serving families and individuals in Athens, Greece. Oh, has it disappeared? Right, it's coming up on here on the search engine, but when I press into it, it says this domain isn't connected to a site. Have they removed it? About Us, let's see. No, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. That's a shame. It still says that this one is open. It says open soon at 12 p.m. But then it says religious organisation closed. But then it says open soon 12 p.m. There's even a phone number. Should ring that number, shouldn't I? Oh, I won't ring that number. Yeah, let's see if I can find anything else on the computer about it. God, you just can't trust anybody. Yeah, they've taken it off. It's just you can't read about it. Let's see if it's, yeah, no, it's gone. So the thing is, they owned the flat where she was living. The flat was part of the Love Every Nation charity that they were running. And so he would have had a key, wouldn't he, to her apartment? Yeah. So did he just go in and surprise her in there? Or did he try and make an advance? I'd put money on it that he tried to make an advance towards her. And she wasn't interested. She looks very much like his wife. You know, he probably thought, oh, there she is. She's a single woman. She's, well, it's the website's gone, Sean. There's the actual website online. Looks like you can go into it. Starts off telling you about it. Welcome to Love Every Nation. We're a couple serving families and individuals in Athens, Greece. We love ... And then when you try and go in to read the rest of it, this is what comes up. This domain isn't connected to a site. So they've taken the website down, haven't they? Taken the website down. I mean, the thing is, if you were in a foreign country, now she'd planned to go there. She'd probably organised to go there and help out. But I would just imagine if you were in a foreign country, maybe you were experiencing problems, or you didn't know where to turn, or you needed help, or you needed an interpreter. It's quite likely you might go to a church or a charity, isn't it? You know, you wouldn't expect to end up in a suitcase because you were helping out at a Christian charity. So, yeah, what will happen to that charity? Because they've taken the website down, but sounds like they've got accommodations included. You know, what's going to happen to the whole charity? So I do feel for his wife. Because she hasn't done anything wrong as far as we know. She's probably the one that stopped him in, because she looked on his phone, saw he was at the flat. Then the police have traced his movements, seen him on CCTV carrying the suitcase out and taking it to the place where it was found. So, as I say, I think this guy's wife is another victim in this. Imagine finding out your husband I mean, they haven't been married that long, but they've been married a couple of years. You know, you think your husband's a good man. You know, that he's had this, he's risen from adversity. You know, his father killed by the Taliban, his brother kidnapped by the Taliban, the rest of his family blown up by a suicide bomb. But worthy though, because actually that's very convenient, isn't it? Because then when you get married and your wife is saying to you maybe, oh, invite your family to the wedding. He's like, oh, my family are dead. They were all killed by the Taliban. Maybe he was in the Taliban. You know, maybe his family were Taliban. You know, this man is a liar, obviously. And he's gone for this woman, probably, you know, you could think either for sex reasons or for money reasons, but probably a combination of two. He's probably gone round there, tried to force himself upon her. She's got angry, he's suffocated her. Maybe he has RAPD'd her. That'll come up in the autopsy, won't it, if there had been any sex attack. And then he thought, oh, just for good measure, I'll take her bank cards. And then with the bank cards, he's bought his wife an iPhone and given her 2,500 euros. He's fucking nutter, isn't he? Do you know, he's just, apart from the fact he's horrible and nasty murderer, he's thick as that. Thank you, Lily. 2 Jules, thank you so much. Well, you're right, David. Actually, could be. He could have done it several times. And maybe somebody else, you know, refugees sometimes, who's going to look for them? Who's going to look for someone who's arrived on a boat? You know, hasn't got any family. You know, who's going to wonder where they are? Like Elisabeth had family wondering where she was, and he was sending them texts from her phone pretending he was her. But yeah, maybe there's other people that he's done it to. He could have been doing it for years, for all we know. Thank you, Sean. I know it's like, I was saying, there's more people on the other side now that I know, I think, than on this side. Sorry, I'm not meaning to make light of it, but you know, I just come from a family where we do, our response to coping with stress is normally humour. You know, or Linda had a sense of humour. She would be laughing at that. So, we've had some raucous times. You know, all you can do is remember the good times, can't you? I mean, time waits for no man, does it? You know, everybody gets older. And those raucous times, those fun times, party times, they don't carry on forever, do they? Now, Linda's had a long life, but still, you know, in terms of today's, you know, people live long lives now. I think she must have been, if she wasn't 80, she wasn't far short of 80, but I don't know, to be fair, exactly how old she is. I'd say around about 80. So she had a long life, but I'll tell you what, she had a lot of illnesses through her life. She's a bit of a creaking gate in that sense. She's always seemed to be in hospital with one thing or another. But as I say, she's a very strong person. She always overcame everything. And yeah, very independent. I think what would have finished Linda off as well, though, was when she found out she would never be going home to live independently again. She wouldn't have liked that. She wanted to just go, but you know, she was that generation, completely independent. So yeah, and she did have tumors and things. So anyway, it's not very nice. She did pass peacefully, apparently. No more pain, no more suffering. Reunited with her childhood, well, not childhood sweetheart, they were teenage sweethearts. They got married, they had 2 children. They got several grandchildren, 3 grandchildren, I think. You know, and they had a nice life. So unlike poor Elisabeth, who was 38 and then her life taken from her. So, you know, you have to be grateful for what you get in this life, don't you, really? So yes, let me just Yeah, another terrible story, Sean. Do you know what? There's such evil in this world, isn't it? I mean, you could get really quite depressed by it, but you always have to remember that most people are good. But the problem with this is you've got a guy who's in a charity. You know, these sort of, his wife is probably a very sincere person who opened the charity for the goodness of her heart and genuinely wanted to help refugees, etc. And then she ended up meeting him. He's a handsome guy. He's probably got the gift of the gab. He's a boxer. He's got this sob story from his, all his family killed by the Taliban. I wouldn't be surprised if all that turns out not to be true at all. In fact, if even he is Taliban himself. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't believe a man like that. A man like that that's done what he's done. You know, he's not a good person, is he? He's not come up through a good family like he's saying he is. Oh, yeah, his dad was killed by the Taliban. His brother was kidnapped by the Taliban. And his family were killed by the Taliban in a suicide bomb. The bloody Taliban's done everything wrong to them. The Taliban are probably better than he is. There is evil in this world. There is evil in this world. It's a shame, but how do you recognise it? I was thinking about that. I was thinking this man, on the surface, seemed, perfectly plausible. He was plausible enough to get the American woman to marry him, to be a Christian worker in this charity. Probably a lot of people trusted him. But inside he was hiding all that evil, all that, capable of such evil things. Because it's not even that he killed her, so, okay, let's suppose he went round to her flat, tried it on with her, she got, repelled him, a fight ensued, and, maybe pushed her and she died, or, these sort of things are not good. I'm not saying they're good, but they happen. But to me, what's worse is what he did afterwards. Because if something like that happens, what do? First thing you do is you phone the ambulance, see if somebody can save her. And then if not, they can't. But you don't put her in a suitcase and steal her bank cards. How are you going to explain that away? So that makes you feel like maybe there was some planning. Maybe he has done it before. It's what he did afterwards is almost worse than the actual killing of her. And the lies, using her money to buy his wife an iPhone. Because apparently it took £9,000 approximately, or euros, out of her bank account. So that's a lot of money. Even the 2,500 he gave his wife in the iPhone don't account for all that. So what did he do with the rest of it? He might have sniffed it up his nose. Or maybe he had women, other girlfriends. He probably did. He probably had loads of women. He's a bad actor, isn't he, this guy? He's a bad alien. He's definitely a bad alien. So this is where we are so far. Yeah, I agree, David. I think the wife will probably go back to the US. She can't really stay there, can she? But she's built a life there. She's got this charity. She's sort of she's got to wind it up. I mean, she's obviously taken the website off already, but she's got to wind up the whole thing. It sounds like there are, there'll be other people there relying on her that are already there in these apartments, refugees that they're already helping. So I think so, Sean. I think it was his wife that alerted the police. She checked on his phone, where he'd been, and she could see that he'd been in the apartment. Because, see what a thicko he is. Because he did not realise. She's obviously got the phones linked where she could see where he was, or it's one of those Find My Phone apps or whatever. So, yeah, she knew he'd been there, and then the police went, and then they found he was on CCTV. And now he has confessed to taking her body and taking her cards. But what he's saying is she was already dead when he found her. and he didn't. He wanted the money. He's openly saying he put her in the suitcase and took her off and hid her because he wanted the money. So, but he's saying he didn't kill her. So this is where we are. So we've got more to find out, of course. Okay, so I'm going to love you and leave you now. Yeah, sorry to start this with, more bad news from my neck of the woods. Honestly, this year's been relentless for bad news. But anyway, I'll tell you something though, the news that this poor girl's family is getting, about what's happened to her, I really feel for them. I just want to say my heart just goes out to the family and what they've had to put up with, and what is the twonk's wife is, she'll be suffering too. So yeah, it's a cruel world out there, isn't it? But anyway, we have to try and concentrate on the positive, don't we? So I'll see you the positive thing is, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you for the jewels. Thank you for the PayPal. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Bye.